Welcome back to Talk to Me, the podcast.
Today we have Pilot here. Woo, woo, woo. We're so excited to have you here today, and we can't wait to hear about your successes.
Yeah, man. It's your boy, Pilot Flyin, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Hi, Pilot.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm high as the plains be, you know?
So, Pilot, can you please tell the audience who you are?
Yeah. I go by the name of Pilot Flyin, Myles High, man. And if you don't know, you gon' know. Thank y'all for having me, man. It's an honor.
I don't know, with that voice, I think we have to change our name to Talk to Me some more because, oh my God. Okay.
Oh, your husband.
That's what girls are going to be doing. I'm sorry. He's got a very velvety, soft voice. It's kind of sexy. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Dad, don't watch this episode. Please.
So, Pilot, why don't you tell people about why you're named Pilot? Because that's...
Cause I'm the highest and the flyest that you ever met, you know what I'm saying? So we keep it cool, we keep it fly, you know what I'm saying? Kind of casual, quiet, you know, up in the clouds kind of vibes, you know?
So what do you do?
I'm an entrepreneur, artist, visionary. Got a couple music projects coming out, you know, working on a gaming channel. Honestly, doing a whole bunch of cool things with Loud and Clear.
So what type of artist are you? Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. You go ahead and answer.
No, it's okay. No, you can.
You do it. You do it.
Well, I'm mostly a hip hop artist, but you know, I'm also dabbling into you know, working with singers and other songwriters as well.
Oh, okay.
So, what got you into music?
Really the transition from sports. So like I always was kind of like in music when I was younger, you know, my mom, church, stuff like that. But really sports was where my focus was growing up. And then, you know, after college, kind of just like looking for something else to be passionate about. And that's kind of how I kind of like re-stumbled upon like music.
So, what were some of your struggles that you had, that you faced in your music career?
Well, even so, okay, that's a good question. So initially starting it, that was probably the hardest. Like around, I mean, so I started dabbling with music in like 2012, 2013. I didn't really start looking at it like something to take seriously until about 2019. 2020 is when I released my first single, and so in between that time of, you know, getting, you know, dabbling in it and then realizing like, hey, I'm actually gonna take this serious. That was probably one of the hardest like parts. Is like, yo, am I good enough? Like, am I dope? Do I like who do I want to be? I changed my name like 5 times in between that time, and it took one of my good friends to kind of like help me get Pilot Flyin, and then it's kind of just molded from there. So yeah, that just really just starting and staying with it is probably one of the hardest struggles so far.
Who is your musical, like your influences? Who are the people that you would want to like emulate and are your inspiration?
That's an awesome question. So I'm a 90s baby, right? So, you know, I grew up listening to Lil Wayne, Ludacris, T.I.,
Yeah.
you know, like that. I'm from Virginia, so I kind of got the East Coast Southern side of things. But I guess really forming my adult music, I guess perspective or really like take from influence would be Wiz Khalifa, Currency, and I guess I'll say right now somebody who's kind of buzzing that's taking a strong influence is Larry June as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Strong influences for
Yeah,
sure.
For sure. You know, the cool fly guys, you know what I'm saying? So
No,
Yeah.
yeah. So, how long have you been in the music industry for?
So yeah, 2019, so I was 23, so was that 4 years solid? Like, so I'd say that's probably when I kind of like 2019 is when I cracked the scene. 2020 is when I, you know, released my first music. 2021, that was actually a good year. That year I really put a lot of self-investment into it and was like, yo, like this is now becoming my life and not just a hobby. Like I want to do this for excuse me. I want to do this for my life.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, and you have such a wonderful mentor. You know, we call him the A&R man here, Peyote.
Woo woo, peyote.
So, did you connect with him back in 2019, or were you like struggling before that, and then you were lucky enough to meet him?
Like, yeah, when did you meet him?
So it's been a little over a year now. So like last July, I was fortunate enough to be in a mutual space, and you just kind of connected. You know, he told me who he was, and we just had like a conversation. You know, he asked me questions about me, like, and so that also made me want to proceed to have the conversation. I'm like, okay, so you're asking about me a lot, like, who are you? Like, what you got going on? You know, type of thing. Just off of, you know, common conversation, and then you know. He told me his, you know, credentials and, you know, kind of like, you know, the people that, you know, he knows and some of the knowledge, even without me necessarily asking. And that immediately, you know, drew me towards like, okay, what does he know? How can I benefit from this? Because I felt like at the point of me meeting him is that I was building something that was like, I had taken steps on my own. I had done things. I invested. I put myself on. Like I was doing the manager role for myself.
Oh, wow.
And so that was really what he gave me. He was asking questions I didn't have answers to, and so then it was like it preceded me to now do research, and then now I go back and like talk to him a week later. Like, hey, bro, like let's talk business. Like, what's so like. Because like this is my life. Like I want this to be my life, and it's like the stuff that you were telling me. It was validated. It made sense. It was good information for something that I felt like I had known. But then when like a real life reality opportunity presented itself, it was, oh man, I don't know what I think that I do know, and so
Right.
that's someone who can guide and kind of keep me on the pathway to be like again like hey, you know that over there might not be the best decision for what we're trying to do if that's what you're trying to do. Now, if you're trying to go do that over there, then tell me that so we can adjust and get to that path. But I expressed to him, you know, that I want something specific with this music career like this. You know, I often refer to my career as a car, and just navigates me to that end goal. And so, you know, having the right people in the car, having the proper tools that you need for the journey is probably one of the most important things.
No, yeah. So I remember in our podcast with Peyote, he was talking about your hat. So I'm kind of like interested, like,
I love the hat.
I know, I love the hat.
You walked in with that hat, and I'm like, damn, that guy knows how to dress.
Shout out to my family, man.
Love it.
Hands High Himma, you know what I'm saying? Chris Tweedy. Lynchburg, Virginia, man, handmade this one. And it's just kind of like goes back to, you know, the fly guy, you know. It's not very like, it's kind of loud, but it's also like subtle in my vibe, right? And so I feel like representing something that is of exclusivity. And that's really one of the main things that I like to focus on with my life is kind of exclusivity, because I think that something that is too accessed or has too much access to sometimes or more than not loses value.
Yes.
So the things that are held to a higher standard and held to, you know, a little bit more of a stepping stool, I'd say, is why I you know, I go to brands that are specific.
But you want to be unique. You want your own identity.
Absolutely.
And now, because he's an artist, you've got to think about your brand. You got to think about what you're putting out there to others, and you know, kids Maddie's age, and you know, and adults and things like that. So, yeah, I think a lot of people don't have to think about those things, but when you are the brand, those are definitely things you got to take into consideration for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing about it is the brand is what you represent. And if your brand doesn't have a strong foundation in how you actually exist as humans, because that's what we are, then it's hard to believe in a brand that doesn't have a strong foundation. So the goal is to build, again, going back to that car, is like putting the right people in the car and building that good foundation so that we can drive where we need to go.
Going back to family, how's your relationship with your mom and your dad?
Growing up, it was cool. You know what I'm saying? I had both my parents, so I was very fortunate for that. I'm the oldest of three, so growing up, my relationship with my parents was good. You know what I'm saying? They always. I never needed for anything. I never, was worried necessarily for my safety or anything like that, which I feel very fortunate for. You know, I do understand that this is a crazy world and that bad things happen to good people. So you still also should always be aware and protect yourself because. Again, this world don't care too much, but kind of going back to my parents, just a big staple. My mom unfortunately passed when I was 15.
Oh,
so
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. That had to be hard. That's a hard age to lose a parent.
It definitely built a lot of character. Helped me get through a lot of adversity, but and the relationship with my dad, helped me kind of understand what it takes to be a man. Always providing things like that. Sometimes I feel like, being a child, you want that emotional connection from a pops or whatever, but like I also got two siblings that he has to worry about as well now, only being the only parent. So, I do say that a lot of my teenage years I was selfish and, again, wanting that emotional, but it's like, when now, being a father myself, like it's like looking at it, it's like those things matter, right? Like my emotions matter, but at the end of the day, that can't be what we're focused on because it's not, it's not just me.
So going into the music industry, did your dad how did he react?
That's funny. How my dad reacted. My dad's a cool dude. Very low key, man. Quiet to himself. If you get him to laugh, that means you're funny. If you get my pops to laugh, and so I told him, and I had actually came home from visiting school, and I was at home, and I was like rapping this song that I had made, and he was like, "What is that?" I was like, "It's my song, Dad. I'm gonna be a rapper." He laughed. He laughed. He was like, "No, you're not." And I was like, "No, Dad, I'm gonna be a rapper." And he's like, "Okay, we'll see." No, he supports me now, though. You know what I'm saying? So that was back, back a couple years. But now, he sees the vision. He sees how dedicated I am to it.
So, do you write your own music then?
Absolutely, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think that creates the authenticity in it. I've been in writing rooms. I'm definitely open to having people's perspective influence what I'm writing, but all my lyrics are mostly handcrafted by me.
Wow. Okay.
So do the lyrics come from personal experience or, because it sounds like, there's a lot of different things that's happened in your life and you're still very young. I mean, and then also being a parent, I mean, has it transcended? I know I'm asking about 10 questions there at one, but just kind of wondering, because I think it's crazy for people who can do their own music. To put that together. So
for me, it's kind of like a two doorway kind of thing. I use it for like creative venting, but I also try to use as much of my life as I can, with still remaining of some of my personal life still personal. So I do often write in a almost like a outside perspective of what I'm living. With it forming like these are some of my dreams, these are some of my aspirations, these are some of my goals, and though yet I may not have achieved them currently, those are things that I am headed towards. So it's almost in that level of affirmation that I'm creating when I'm thinking of what I'm writing, like how I want to live my life, going back to again that representation of the brand. Like if my music doesn't represent my brand and my brand doesn't represent my lifestyle, then my music can't represent my lifestyle. So I have to methodically orchestrate to get those three things to come in line. And so that's kind of, been the current project right now.
Well, and to maintain that authenticity, right? I
Right.
mean, that's one of the things that Peyote was very passionate about, was keeping it authentic and keeping it real.
Yep.
So-
And that's and going back to kind of like bringing the light to Phoenix. You know, like I said, I'm from Virginia, but you know, I made Phoenix my home. You know, I definitely. I'm not from here, but I love here though, so it's kind of cool. And I just kind of like you said, you know, shed some light. Show people what's cool to do here, where it's cool to be at, what are places that you can go that not everybody knows, those type of things.
Yeah.
Like the real experience.
So how long have you been here for?
About 5 years now. I'm going on about 6 years.
So you came here in
2018.
2018?
Yeah, 2018. Yeah.
Wow. And you were in Virginia the rest of the time?
Nah, I moved around a lot. I went to school in Maryland. Lived in Florida for a little bit, California for a short time as well, and then finally kind of landed here.
So were you pursuing music in those other venues, or?
So in college, no. That was kind of like 2012,
Right, yeah,
2013.
college.
That's when I graduated high school, 2012, 2013, 2014. I kind of, like I said, started dabbling in it, like figuring out, like, I was still playing sports. I was still playing college football, so it was like an auxiliary thing that I would do with, my friends. And then again, after football stopped, it was like that auxiliary thing now became my passion. And so moving to Florida, that was actually, Florida is where I adapted Pilot. It was one of my good friends. We were working at an Olive Garden down in Fort Myers, Florida. And they dropped me off. We were just like smoking, chilling, or whatever. And and they were like, "Yo, you're a pretty fly high guy." And I was like a pilot. And they were like, "Yo, that's it right there, like Pilot." And then it kind of, it was Pilot for a while, just Pilot. And then it was like, that's like too broad. I need to like specify. So like Pilot, Flyin with no G, because I keep a G, you dig it? So PILOT FLYIN with no G, because I keep a G.
That's awesome.
I love that.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
So what's your real name then?
I go by Myles.
Myles?
Yeah. Myles High.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love that.
That is fly.
It works.
So when you took and you met Peyote, and so what was you'd already put out like a single at that point?
I had like a couple projects out.
You had a couple projects
couple
out?
singles, yeah. Like I said, I had made a lot of like progressive steps, like thinking that I was, doing the things that I should have been doing, which I was doing a lot. Like I checked off a lot. Like let's say there was like 10 boxes that I needed to check. I was checking about 5 or 6 of them solidly by myself. Like maybe, like I said, 5 or 6. Like that 6th one, kind of.
Yeah.
And then I would say, meeting Peyote now we've kind of like backtracked to go forward again.
Yeah.
And which helped me understand what steps I missed in these phases that I was. So like say it was like, again, 1 through 10, and 10 is like in chronological order. Like I had 1, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. Kind of how
9.
we've been doing it with the podcast, and we're like, Josh, what the hell are we supposed to do now? Because we's like, there is an order to it, and,
Right.
and to the business itself, and
Absolutely.
you kind of, when you're out there, just kind of figuring out, that's tough.
Yeah. So really what I'd say is, connecting with Peyote and really, really helped me kind of re-visualize and kind of articulate my foundation of what, like, the way I was treating it was still like a hobby, even though I thought that I wasn't. So then it was like, hey, buddy, like, okay, let's go. Okay, first of all, start over again. We're gonna go from square one, and we're gonna get you where you need to go. And now, we're kind of moving kind of quick. So
what are your goals then? Like at this point?
So my short-term goals, music video, you know what I'm saying? Get more content out. That's why we're starting this podcast run.
Come on, Josh.
You know what I'm saying? Hey man, it's such a exciting experience to be able to work with those guys at Flat Flash. So
What is your child? I'm sorry, is it a boy or girl?
I got 2 daughters.
Oh, you have two daughters. So
yeah.
what do they think when they see dad doing like music videos or listening to his music?
Man, so my oldest, she probably, I haven't really breached that. So my oldest is 7. My youngest is almost 2.
Oh, okay.
So they don't get it quite yet, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm assuming that, you know, as I keep developing as an artist, keep growing as a father, that they will be appreciative of their pops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
I want to meet them. I
Yeah,
love kids.
yeah.
Yeah.
Little bugs, you know what I'm saying? They're our favorite.
They put you in perspective for sure. I mean, it's like you think you know what life's about, and then you have a kid, and then you're like, "What the hell was I thinking?" It's like this is what it is about.
Man, my oldest saved my life though. Shout out to Layla for real.
Oh,
So, yeah.
So, was the way you were parented, was the way you were parented a help to your success, or was it, well?
I definitely think so. My pops was pretty kind of, so he has similar kind of military background, kind of like everything had a place, like you had like, you know, stuff was organized, like it wasn't very you know, scattered and stuff like that, like routine, stuff like that. So I think, and again, being an athlete, it kind of like helped me develop those type of traits. So I think it even brings, like even at a young age, it teaches things like resilience and like being able to like revert back to what you know, like when it goes back to routine, like even like, and I guess I would use mental health as an example, but let's just say breaking your schedule from like brushing your teeth and making your bed and doing these things that when you were growing up, your parent, like you didn't want to do them as a kid, but little do you know that you're getting conditioned to create a routine that helps your brain function properly. So when you break those things, when it comes to things like depression or anxiety, or like where you break those habits, you still have the space to rely on the routine and habits that you created to kind of get out of those spaces, because I think that those spaces, you know, and everyone experiences them because we're all humans. I think those spaces are meant to be experienced but not sat in, and just kind of understanding that. And I think that everyone has different, you know, perspectives and willpowers to believe on what, you know, their own mental capacity is. But I believe that, you know, being a human, you have a lot of power in my eyes.
yeah, I'd have to agree with that for sure. I mean, that's one of the things, you know, 2020 kind of showed us all, right?
Yeah.
Is we were all depressed in 2020.
Being inside, no sun,
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And,
not talking to people.
and now look
Oh,
at
yeah,
us, you
so-
know, we're coming out of that. We're back to, you know, attending events like what you're going to be performing at, you know,
Absolutely.
doing things that, you know, putting music together, you know, working on your plans again for the future and things like that. So I totally agree with you. It's like you can fall into that, but that you have to move past it because life still continues and you still have to plan your future and get forward with where you want to be.
Absolutely. By the way, you guys can definitely come. I host a monthly networking event called Connect and Collab, and kind of, you know, again, one of those things. It's at a wine bar, so you can come,
Maddie.
but you know,
It's okay.
you might. Yeah,
I get like a Shirley Temple.
no. Yeah. But yeah, no, come network, come, you know, put your podcast out.
Oh, yeah,
you know,
thank
come meet
you.
people. I always say, you know,
It's all about it.
You
That's
never
what it's
know
all
whose
about.
hands you're gonna shake. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's important to meet people and connect, and especially. But